This is a gap recap video for the week of February the 12th through the 16th. Hi everyone, it's Dow on the Dow. I'm going to go over 13 stocks and talk about the gaps that filled to the north side and gaps that filled to the downside, and then some gaps that opened up as well for this week. First up is NIO. We ended the week at $6.14. This is the gap that I was tracking, and right out of the gate, we did close it, so this is no longer in play. We are done. Meantime, this gap opened up, and it also closed out, so that is done as well, and that gapped out at 608. This gap to the south side that I've been tracking is still in play, and that opened up on February the 6th. That will take us down to $5.38 if we turn around and go south. But right now on the 5-minute time frame, we are in an upward channel, so that is good to see. And this gap opened up. It is still in play. So that is a landmine to the south side that will take us to $6.06. Excuse me, $6 even. And it opened up at 604. This gap is still in play as well. It opened up this week. We gapped up, so I anticipate a gap down to fill it out. And it starts at 585, closes out at 571. And this last one touched right there. So that is no longer a threat to our accounts to the south side. That closed to the downside at 609. I will go over price action in a separate video. All I'm going to do in this video is talk about the gaps. The next one is SOFI. I'm in this trade for myself and for my mom. And we ended right here at support at 836, looking left. This gap that I talked about and carried through into this week closed right out of the gate on Monday. Right, so that is done. I will no longer obviously be tracking that. This gap opened up. We gapped down, so I anticipate a gap up to fill it out, and it touched right there, and that took our account up to 831. Now this gap, it gapped up, so I anticipate a gap down to fill it. We are not in the channel, not in the zone, just something to be aware of. This is a landmine to the south side. It begins at roughly 812. And while I am here, I will put this line up to note that this is the Friday, the end of the week. So this is the period that I am tracking. And we've got a gap that I have been tracking also that takes us to the north side, beginning at 903, something to look forward to here. This will close out at roughly 963. And then after that, we've got another gap that I've been tracking that will take us to roughly 993. We are not in the channel, not even close. This is down the road. If you like to go long, it's something to consider if we continue to go up. Hopefully things are looking better for SOFI. We've been whipped around all over the place, but after the earnings report, things have leveled out a little bit and gone up. But obviously today down 1.99%, but still we are an upward channel overall. The next one is TSLY. TSLY has been running, and so has this ETF. Now we are here at 916. I'll mark out the line here. So looking left, I talked about this gap, and right out of the gate on Monday, it closed, touched right there. So that gap is done. That took us to the north side at 892. This gap, this tiny little micro gap, closed out right there. It gapped down, we filled it to the north side, and that was at roughly 870. There was a gap there that filled. The little gaps I don't bother with because they will be closed out by either -2 or 2 standard deviations or the outliers, and I don't waste my time. But this one to me is a cleaner gap up, and it will fill to the downside eventually, but I like to turn on the magnet to help me get a more precise level. So we gapped up, but I anticipate it to gap down. So TSLY will eventually go down to $8.78, and we are at 916. So if you'd like to go short, eventually I think that will close. Who knows when? It could take forever, or it could do it in a heartbeat. You know, Tesla whips you around with this one, so this will follow suit. Now, for the gap that I have been tracking, that began right here on the 25th of January. It has not closed out, so something to look forward to the upside. We started to kiss it and touch it right there. Yeah, get your head out of the gutters, people. Come on. 913 is where it started. Okay, I don't have time for that. No time for nonsense, okay? We're talking about money here. Just kidding. All right, this will take us up to the north side at 974. Okay, from here to get to up here, it's going to take a while. We're going to be thrashed around. All right. I like to go to the upside, the long side, play the long game, and hopefully we'll get to that level. And as you can see, this will take us all the way up to 1052. And that's the last gap I'm tracking to the north side there. And RIVN is the next one. Put up my little line here. Oops. All right. We ended the week at 1630. This gap, we gapped up. We closed to the downside on Tuesday. We touched right here. So this is no longer a threat to our accounts to the downside, even though we went down even more, but at least that gap is done. One less gap to worry about, or one more gap to play if you went short. You got your money there. So this gap, we gapped down. So it will eventually gap up, and it did, and we closed out to the north side at 1631, and then note this little gap here that closed to the south side at roughly 1593. That would have been a good buy-in area. And this gap that I have been tracking will be extended. This will not close, I don't think, on Tuesday when the market opens up. There has to be something major for this to run all the way up here in one day. -2 and 2 standard deviations all day long. Outside of that, don't hold your breath. So this gap formed on January the 17th, and again, still in play. And for RIVN, I think, yep, that is the last gap I am tracking for my gap and go trades. PCG is the next one. Ended the week at 1643. So on Monday, this gap got extended from the previous week, and we touched it right here actually almost 3 times, but 2 times. So this is still in play. That will take us up to 1664. And look at this whomp down here, man. Down to 1594. I wish I noticed that or put an alert. That would have been an awesome place. I like to buy at -2, -3, or -4, and that would have been a nice little buy-in. So from here to here was a 3% return in, that was on Tuesday, went up to resistance on Thursday for 2 days. Beats putting your money in the bank, in Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America all day long. And I'm not talking about a money market. I'm just talking a regular savings account that pays you nothing. All right. So this gap opened up and closed right here. So that's done. That took us to the middle of the trend at 1649. And this gap right here takes us to 1664, as I mentioned. We are in an upward channel, so that's nice to see as well. Watch out for the RSI and the MACD. Right now, the RSI, I use this as support and resistance. It looks like, let me move this thing out of the way, can't see. We are turning down, so we might touch this area 30 oversold, go down even more because look where we were here, and then make our way back up for another leg up possibly. What is the 1-year price target? It is 1950. An 18% return from where we are right now. Pfizer is the next one. I am in this trade for my mom. All right, we ended the week right there. All right, this gap opened up. We gapped up. That means you know what? We will fill to the downside eventually. Who knows when? Just something to keep in mind, because don't think these tickers will continue to run forever, because they will do a rug pull on you. Put your stop loss in if you can't stomach a loss. All right. So the gap that I'm upside down on some shares and I am up on other shares. I do want to buy more of this for dollar cost averaging. And I tried to buy it previously and it did not fill. So I should have just done it. Look at, we hit support down here. All right, to the upside, it'll take us to 30.35. And I think that is the last gap up. So the 1-year price target on this puppy is $31.21, which represents a 13% return. Next one is Exelon. We ended the day right here. This gap that I was tracking closed out right here on Monday, right out of the gate. No longer tracking this. This gap it touched right here, and it looked like it touched right there, but if you make this graph bigger, you can see that it did not touch there, but it touched right here. So this gap is done. This gap was formed on the 2nd, and that will take us to 34.97. And the next one will take us to 35.57. And then this one will take us to 36.07. Oh, and one more. Look at this. This stock has tanked previously, and look at all these gaps to the upside if we go and continue to go up. But right now we are in a strong upward channel on the 5-minute. And make sure you flip this over to the daily, the weekly, and the monthly, because it will give you different buy and sell signals and shake you out possibly. The next one is Altria Group. Ended the week at 40.18. What happened here? I don't see any gaps. Well, any big ones. I mean, that's a micro one. That's a micro aggression right there. Nasty. And look at this. If you play patterns, here's your classic W. I do not play patterns, but the only pattern that sticks out to me is the W. I'm terrible at seeing teacup and handle, whatever the heck you call that. I don't play it, but I mean, I see it when other people point it out, but it just does not come to me naturally. The W's do. All right, so there's nothing going on here. We have resistance, sell-off, support, buy-in, sell-off, buy-in, pattern repeats itself. And this is the gap, though, that I have been tracking to the north side. That will take us to 42.40. All right, and that is it. Those are former support and resistance lines. We have tanked with this stock in the past too, so now we're trying to hopefully correct ourselves. This channel isn't going down as strongly as it was before. I hope that it levels out and then after that moves up to close out these gaps. Wouldn't that be nice? The next one, Schlumberger. Okay, 48.57 is where we ended. No gaps to really talk about here. Just your regular support and resistance, clear buy-in and sell areas for me. I don't know about you, but it shows through here. And the lines are fluid. They change every minute, every 3 minute, every 5 minute, whatever time frame you're playing on, it changes. So 53.03 is where we will go eventually. It's going to take a while, but eventually we will get there. All right, the next one, Baba. Oh, Baba. This one has slapped us around. We ended the week at 73.91. Nice to see that we're in an upward channel. We are at support, and we are at the what I call support on the RSI too. I use this as support and resistance. I anticipate maybe to go down more to then go back up because we are way down here. We're due for a correction. And let's talk about some of the gaps to the downside that are landmines that will take out your account if you're not careful. That will take us down to 65.29. This one takes us down to 68.64. This gap right here, let me clean this up because I extend it and then I don't know whenever it hits because I haven't cleaned it up. But basically out of the gate, we closed, well, let's just take it right there. But that was basically on Monday out of the gate. So that's done. Yay, that's done. All right, so this next gap will take us up to 78.11. Okay, that's one gap. And then this other gap here takes us to 78.46. And oh yeah, look at the fall from grace here. Those are all of my old support and resistance lines that I have yet to delete. But if you pull this over to, let's just pull this over to the daily. It still looks like a hot mess because I've marked this out so many times. Look at all the weeks that I've been tracking this just for the gap plays that I have noticed. And once they gap up to where I pointed them out, I will stop tracking this unless there is any interest from you to continue to track it. But I won't track it even though I own this stock. But oh, while I'm here, we are at 73.91. We are right here, hard to see, but we're basically at the middle of the trend. So I think if I look at this right, that will take us to 89.93 at 2 standard deviations on the daily time frame. And that is an old price. Look at this. This is all former support and resistance. RSI on the daily is going down. Look at this. All right, let me move this out of the way. Oh, no, I'm sorry. It looked like it was going down. It's kind of just going sideways. So hopefully it'll turn up, curl up. Again, check this on the daily, the weekly, and the monthly. Oh, look at this. On the 5-minute, like I mentioned, it's gonna curve, go down maybe even more, and then curve back up for a little bit of a run on Tuesday. Of course, it could go down again once it hits key levels. Okay, let's not look at the stuff at the top. It makes everything look like a mess. All right. So that is BABA. Yeah, that's the last 2 gaps here. Thank goodness. Nike also has taken a beating. You go woke, you go broke, and that's what happened. Finally, things are going up a little bit. I am in this trade for my mom. I have some shares that are upside down and some shares that are profitable. So I do need to dollar cost average because in the long run, we will get to 121.45, up 17%. And this, let me mark this out. What is that right here? All right, this gap takes us to the low end of 104.68, 106 there. And look at this. All right, so this gap that I've been tracking since, oh my gosh, look at this, all the way since the 16th of January, still in play, because it looked like, wait a minute, yeah, see how it looked like it touched, but it didn't. So on Monday, right out of the gate, we gapped up. And it's hard to see because this thing is in the way, but we gapped up right. Well, we didn't gap up, we went up. See that? Well, there was a gap up, so we'll close it to the downside, but it already got closed. So this closed on Monday right there, right out of the gate. So that's done at 105.03. And look, 105.03, we're now down to 103.51. And look at this. You just read the charts. We started to go up. And from down here, this is resistance. And if we are here and we hit this mark and we go down, this line then turns into support. And that's where you see the bounce again. So this gap also touched right here on Monday. Let me move this back now. Well, it should be Friday. There we go, because Monday's the new week. So this touched at 106.47, and I have been talking about that gap since the 3rd of January. Okay, so this is done. Look at that. We gapped down here. So this gap was created on Monday. So we gapped down. So anticipate the opposite. So that happened. Turn that green because that is, for me, my charting where I like to put things that go to the north side in green, things that go to the red, to the downside in red. So that closed out at 107.29 and the bottom there was 104. So that's a nice little scalp trade from, well, down. That's not really a scalp. That is more like a swing or short one because that happened on Tuesday, closed out on Wednesday. All right. The next level up from where we are takes us to 122.40. And this is near where the new price target is at 121.45, up 17% from where we are. So let me just mark that while I'm here. And I don't forget, 117.45 is the new, excuse me, that's up 7. What am I saying? All right, I need to stop. I have to hurry. This video is getting long and I'm dragging on here. Okay, there. And we are a long ways off, but something to look forward to the upside now that Nike has taken a beating. I think it's learned its lesson. Just stick to the business. Just sell things that people want to buy. Don't talk about things that don't matter for a clothing company, and make money for the shareholders. And stop paying these people ridiculous prices. People will buy your product because it's good. All right. Let's see here. Next one, Baba. Because I'm tired of Nike going down. I need this thing to reverse. I believe in you, Nike. All right. 203.88 is where we ended, actually 89. Okay, let's talk about all of these gaps. This gap will take us to 196.98. A landmine, another landmine. There are many landmines to the south side with Baba that I have tracked. Okay, this one will take us to 186.90. Hard to think that we could get there, but the possibility is there. I bought in at 186.50 a long time ago for my mom. And we got, did we get close? We didn't get close, but we still got spanked, okay? And now things are looking up a little bit. Thanks to earnings right here. Reported earnings, $22.018 billion. The estimate on the street was $21.184 billion. So it ran after that. So we got a tiny gap to the north side there. This gap developed also this week. So this is a new one, which I won't be tracking, but I will in the sense that in order to close out this, then this would be the next target. So this is going to be your immediate target before we get to the other one. That will take us to $209.24, as I have a brain fart. I'm charting this out, and then I forget that I need to tell you the target because I've thought about it in my brain already. All right, 217.69 is the next one I'm tracking, and then this little baby gap at 222.69. Fingers crossed we make it all the way up there, and if we do, I don't know, I think I might have to sell it for my mom because I cannot not let it go down this far or set some stop losses. But a lot of upside potential and downside potential, which makes it a good swing trade. Okay, finally, last one. Yay, lows. I'm so tired of talking about lows because we almost made it to the gap that I have been talking about for a long time. And then we finally did, and then some this week. So let me mark out the end of the week. We ended at 226.85. Looking left, this gap is still in play to the downside at 218.97, and watch out for that. A big landmine. I think that this thing will eventually crack and get down there for possibly another leg up is what I'm thinking. You can't continue just to go up and expect it to go up, even though the one-year price target says we're going up. No way. This thing will slap you around because it has shown itself to do that previously. And tracking this, it's been terrible. Okay, so this gap here is the original gap that I have been tracking. And it took us all the way back to December 20th, and we finally gapped up. We got close to filling it out. At what? Oh, we touched down here, like at this point you can see on the 8th, and then did we touch it almost there? Yeah, we touched it over here almost and over here, but we could never close it out. So this week we did to the upside at 225.33. So congratulations if you made some money off of lows. Done and done. But we went all the way as high as 230.92. This is the 52-week high here. And then let me see what that move represented. So from here, oh, let me take off the magnet. That makes everything wonky if you're not paying attention. You have to get your line off of that. That's an extra 2.4%, 2.5%. So that's nice. And then what goes up must come down. What goes down doesn't necessarily go up again, but sometimes you got to get down to get back up. And that's exactly what happened to resistance. See that? Support again, resistance, back to support, back to resistance. But there's a big hole right here, okay? That will eventually get filled. So for people who like to go short, there you go. So lows is off my list because we finished the gap that I was tracking. This is a new gap, okay? And not part of my gap and go trades. But if you're playing this, just be aware of this next potential gap to the upside, roughly at 229.77. And to the south side, we're looking at all the way down to 224.25 on Tuesday. But I anticipate it to stay within -2 and 2, wherever that may be, because that line is fluid. That's it for me. Thank you so much for watching. And if there is a ticker you would like me to go over, please let me know. Have a great President's Day weekend. And watch out for my next Gap and Go video where I will go over price action on all of these and then give you a new gap trade.